I got death threats for that. I got death threats for casting, Mel Gibson. I got death threats for making What is a Woman with Matt Walsh. I get them all the time.
It is I, the Poptimist, and today we have Travis Mills and Dallas Sonnier. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having us,
Thanks
man.
for having us, yeah.
Frontier Crucible. How did it happen?
Well, it started out with Travis texting me on Grindr, and we had a match, and I was the little spoon, and then we made a movie. No, Travis hit me up in the middle of COVID and said, "Hey, dude, like you're making all these great movies. I want to be a part of it." And I said, "Awesome." So a year later, when we had the Gina Carano movie Terror on the Prairie, he came and basically produced that with us. We took him to Budapest for the Pendragon Cycle, and he was the all-star on that production. He shot second unit. He produced. He was the real sort of glue that kept us all together overseas. And so the reward for him literally was a chance to direct a movie. And I promised him I'd go get the money and bring him a great script. He'd been a fan of the Frontier Crucible project for a while. It's got a great genesis, how it all came together. And he was the right person to direct. So we called, we decided that was going to be the movie he was going to direct for us. And it's been great.
You have a knack, Dallas, for raising actors from the dead.
Yes.
Between Gina Carano
Mel
and
Gibson.
then Vincent Gallo.
Yep.
Mel Gibson. How did Armie Hammer come into the picture?
Yeah, I felt really compelled that I was going to be the producer to bring him back. I knew I was going to be the one. And I kept trying to get the folks over at Daily Wire, who I'm in business with a lot, to make a movie with him. And it just didn't happen for whatever reason. It was tricky, or the resources weren't there. And when I decided to make Frontier Crucible with Travis, and when we got Thomas Jane attached, I knew that Thomas would support it, and I knew that Travis would support it. And so I had my shot, and I took it. And we have a mutual friend named Tyler Ramsey, who's this crazy guy, has a great podcast himself. And we cold called him. We knew he was a big fan of my movies that I'd made, and knew who we were. And so we called him. We had our casting director call him, and we made an offer through the friend and then connected with the attorney. But really it was about making sure that people knew that Armie Hammer deserved to act and deserved to find good roles and things like that.
He was great in the role.
He was amazing.
So much fun to work with, too. Easy to work with.
Did we need to cast him as a rapist, a villain? I'm not sure that, But what I'll say is, like, having, worked with Mel Gibson in his moments of challenge, and, working with Gina Carano when she was getting attacked and things like that, it is definitely in my DNA to want to work with actors who, seem to be off limits to people. I've tried many times with Kevin Spacey and others, and, you get who you can get. But Armie was wonderful to work with. Travis can speak to that, and he would just crushed it in the role.
And you guys filmed in Arizona?
Yeah. 17 days in Prescott, Arizona, and 1 day in Monument Valley, which is incredible.
What was that experience like? Because that's kind of a pretty quick shoot, right? Were you guys just doing...
it was insane.
For a Travis Mills movie, it's twice the schedule.
Yeah. I come out of the no-budget space. So for years, I was just making no-budget Westerns, horror films, and then I was making 12 of them in a year when I hit Dallas up.
12 movies in a year?
12 feature-length Westerns in a year during COVID. And I hit Dallas up, and he's like, "You're a madman." And he saw my IMDb picture and said, "I have major beard envy," because I had a huge beard at the time. So I come from that space. So, yeah, shooting a movie on this budget level in 18 days wasn't too crazy, because I've shot them in 10, 9 days, right? But it was a long script. It was like a 130-plus page script, and Dallas fudged the margins for the talent agent, so that they thought it was 120 pages. It wasn't 120 pages. It's a really long script. Tough production, yeah, but great. Just in the elements, completely in the elements every day. in Prescott in this fantastic
the
location.
desert,
Oh
under the
yeah,
sun.
that's just the best, man. You wake up, you're shooting it at first light. You're pretty much done as soon as the sun goes down. Go to bed, conk out, and wake up and do it again. That's the John Ford life.
So was everything just flying by? It felt like at a breakneck speed as you're filming this movie. It's just like from the moment you wake up to the moment you sleep, are you just shooting all day?
Yeah, I mean it is just all consuming, right? And there's just, I mean, movies are just such a pain in the ass. Sometimes I don't know why we do it because they're so hard, right? Whether it's just working with all the collaborators and trying to communicate, just making the day, in this case, making it not suck. You're just every single second you're like, well, this can't suck, and the special effects can't suck, and the props can't suck.
The special effects were
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, you liked some of the gags in it.
Yeah, well, I liked that scene too where he had that guy had the bullet dug out of him. I had to look away. I get really squeamish.
Yeah. Did you look away at the end during the Crucible? We won't spoil it. But
I remember. Okay, so to go a little bit off topic but on topic, the first time Zach showed me Bone Tomahawk, he didn't tell me about the scene.
Yeah.
And I started looking away, and he was just like screaming and swearing at me to watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great, man. Congratulations. It was an excellent movie.
Yeah, well, it was a lot of fun and hard work to make.
Yeah.
And it was a great honor, like, him giving me this opportunity, great script. And I've been a fan of his for so many years. So now I'm part of the Dallas filmography.
Yeah. He's part of the Bonfire Legends.
Yeah.
So this was born out of working on Pendragon Cycle together?
Yeah, I mean, well, so to take a step back, so I've worked with Craig Zahler 3 times now on Bone and Brawl and Dragged, and I think that all 3 of those movies are masterpieces, and I think the world needs to be flooding Craig Zahler with financing and more movie opportunities. And look, let's hope he can get his next movie made, right? He thinks he's got the money together, and Vince Vaughn and a great cast, and so I'm rooting for him.
The music business industrial complex in Big Hollywood doesn't fund anything it can't control. Independence is their greatest nightmare. That's why we're banned from advertising on multiple platforms. This show runs on listeners, not sponsors. If you've ever sent anything, you've already paid for future episodes. Venmo below. Bring back danger.
He called me and said, I know this book called Desert Stakeout by Harry Whittington. And he said the book is perfect for your... He had just watched Standoff at Sparrow Creek, and he really loved that movie. And so he said, you should do a Western version of Standoff at Sparrow Creek with a little bit of sort of Bone Tomahawk vibes to it. And it's very contained. It'll fit right in your wheelhouse. And he said, you don't even need a screenwriter. He said, just take the book and shoot the book. And so we did. We literally took the book. We literally had a kid retype the book into screenplay format and changed a couple of names and changed a couple of settings. Like the scene with William H. Macy didn't originally take place in Monument Valley. It took place in an office, but we changed it to Monument Valley because we wanted to shoot in Monument Valley.
Yeah. It's a great shot.
And so it's great. And so, that's why there's no screenwriter on the project. But Craig Zahler brought us the book. It's one of his favorites, and he's seen the movie and really enjoyed it, and was very complimentary about a bunch of elements of it. And we remain friends, and I can't wait to work with him again one day.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know he's been trying to get his next movie made.
The Bookie and the Bruiser.
Yeah. I'm very excited for that. It should be good.
Fingers crossed. The movie world needs Craig Zahler.
Absolutely. How did your relationship with him start?
Yeah, so I was originally a manager. So I represented Leslie Headland and Greta Gerwig and all of these amazing filmmakers back in the day, and worked on all these different projects and was in the Hollywood system. And I was such a fan of Craig's writing, and he had a bunch of scripts that were very popular and things like that, but he did not have a manager. And so his agent, who's still a very good friend of mine, was with him since the beginning. And the agent just needed someone else with energy to come in and infuse the situation. And so Craig met with a bunch of managers. I won the Derby, ended up signing him, and we had a great run. We sold a bunch of stuff, 20 plus projects together, HBO, FX, Warner Brothers, all of it. But none of them got made except a low-budget horror film that has some, good and bad elements to it. Anyway, he says to me at one point, I want to direct. I said, you should, direct a movie. Maybe we talked about a horror film or a Western or something like that. He was supposed to write a $500,000 movie. He ended up writing Bone Tomahawk, a $10 million Western.
Yeah.
And we made it for $1.8 million, which I financed. And so it's just one of those hilarious stories of like you make the movie for whatever you can make it for. And, I learned a ton from him on practical effects and, shooting characters and how to put a scene together and editorial and all kinds of stuff. And, my fingerprints are on all of those movies in a major way. And, we had a great run. But then COVID happened and I got in business with Daily Wire, and, he decided he wasn't going to follow into that world, and that's okay. I'm willing to get more political than he is, and so that's okay. But yeah, so he's that's how we met, and we still talk all the time. It's all good. Everything's all good.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how did your relationship start with Daily Wire?
Mm-hmm. I was a big fan of the Ben Shapiro show for years. I was a fairly active listener, but a friend of mine called and he said, "You won't believe it, but Ben has recommended 3 of your movies on his podcast." This was the summer of 2019. So I went back and listened, and because it was right at the end, he did this segment called Things I Love. Sometimes I wouldn't get to the end of the episode. So he recommended Brawl, Dragged, and Sparrow Creek.
Oh, wow.
Crazy, right? What the heck? Like, so wild. And so through a mutual friend, I got in touch with him, and I sat down with him, and I said, let's make some movies together. And then COVID happened, and we all scattered to the ends of the earth. We came back together in the summer, fall of 2020. I had Run, Hide, Fight, which had just premiered at Venice, but nobody would touch it. Right, this
great movie.
I was getting canceled. George Floyd time period in life. Like everyone was super nervous about anything controversial. And to Ben Shapiro and his previous Daily Wire partner Jeremy Boring's credit, they picked it up and they put it out, and it did gangbusters for them. And so then we went and worked with Gina Carano. Then we went and made Shut In with Vincent Gallo and DJ Caruso. Then we went and made Lady Ballers and Pendragon and the Matt Walsh documentaries and all these different things. And so it's just been a great run, and it still continues to be. I live in Nashville now to be in their office and to operate with them. And we just made a secret movie in Los Angeles, and we're about to go make another secret movie on the East Coast. We are flying right now. And so it's all great. And it really started from Ben Shapiro and his partners being fans of the movies we were making.
How did Pendragon Cycle happen?
Yeah. Pendragon Cycle was Jeremy Boring's favorite book growing up, right? That and Atlas Shrugged and, Lord of the Rings maybe. And so I wanted to get something made over at Daily Wire. There was a bit of a lull in the production process. And so selfishly, I went and optioned his favorite book of all time, because if you option the favorite book of the Greenlight Committee, that's a kind of a cute way of getting something greenlit, right?
Yeah.
And so I got the deal substantially completed and then told him, and he was like, "What? How did you do that? Oh my gosh, I've wanted to do this for years." And that's literally how it went. I knew the manager and the attorney of the author. Just a total coincidence.
How did you start out in making movies and in Hollywood?
Yeah. I went to USC Film School as a high schooler. I tracked down the concept of film school and was reading books back then. This was pre-internet. So this is the mid-90s. And I learned about film school. And so I learned about this place called USC out in Los Angeles. I thought that sounded great to me. And so I went and visited and just fixated on it. And I would go, like, the USC reps would come to Dallas, Texas, where I grew up, and like host like symposiums and ballrooms. And I would just go, like, just the weird kid in the corner, and hey, I'd like, to like Tracy Flick, right? And I eventually got in as a high schooler, and they let me come and take a semester of classes in the summer between my junior and senior year. And so then I went back for undergrad, and I built, with their help, a business and cinema joint major film school. And I'm still on the board of it now, even to this day. It's kind of funny that the USC film school has my bio with, like, what is a woman, and, like, am I racist? Like, literally my credits listed. It's great. I'm not even sure they know. But it's been awesome. It's been a great time. I go back and teach a class every semester, or even twice a semester. I'm very involved, and it's been wonderful. I wanted to get out to Los Angeles. That was the beacon, the North Star for me growing up. And I wanted to get out there, and I wanted to understand the business side of it. I loved movies, but I'm not a director, I'm not an actor, I'm not a writer. And so producing was a perfect spot for me. Maybe I could have been a studio executive, but really a producer was great. And I get to be on set, and the thing that I learned was great taste in material and how to make great movies. And then I also learned how to be an immovable object. And that, to me, is so when people they want to cut the script. Nope. Let's move on from this actor and go get someone of lesser talent. Nope. Right? I can be that sort of concrete, immovable object because I'm just so confident in my own abilities and my own experiences that I can be the elder statesman in a production meeting or on set or in a casting room or whatever it is. And then that allows the filmmakers to have a little bit more of an opportunity to reach higher into casting, budgets, opportunities, things like that. I mean, Travis just shot in Monument Valley. I mean, who gets to do that? Nobody. And it's because, they made it happen, but I insisted on it. Not that he was fighting me on it, but, like, I said, we're shooting in Monument Valley. Now what? And we go do it.
So knowing when to say no and knowing when to give the squeaky wheel the right grease.
Yeah.
Is that something that you learned over time, or is that something you always intuitively knew?
It's inherent. It's inherent for sure, and innate in me. It's innate, but it was learned over time. Certainly, I learned an enormous amount from my bosses in the industry. I learned an enormous amount working with Zahler and things like that. I learned an enormous amount having to manage Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson on set and Kurt Russell and all these people. You learn pretty fast, but it also is in my DNA.
Yeah, well, I feel like nothing really beats the experience of doing, because you could sit in a classroom or think and theorize all day long how something is going to go, but you don't really know until you put the human factor in there and deal with something unexpected.
Yes.
Like a COVID.
Yes.
That radically changes everything.
Yes.
Like, to give a little context, when you came onto my other podcast, Man of Science, Man of Faith, we were talking to you. I can't remember. It might have been for Run, Hide, Fight. Mm-hmm. And it was the day after Gina Carano got fired by Disney. Mm-hmm. And you told us, like, on the episode, you were like, I'm in touch with Gina Carano right now.
Yeah, and we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like there has to be a certain level of seizing of an opportunity.
No, I'm the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I am the Kool-Aid man.
You'll bust through the wall?
Oh, yes. I'll do whatever it takes. I believe in the one true God and the God of cinema, right? The Scorsese's God of cinema. And I because I cannot allow something to be bad. I cannot. I think I've made a lot of masterpieces. I've made some really good movies, and then I've made some movies that are pretty good. I don't think I've ever made anything bad. I really don't. Even even anything that would be considered my worst movie or my least favorite movie, I still think is technically good, you know?
One thing I want to go back to that you said you were talking about making sure that it was good and
Yeah.
that it was something in,
Yeah.
in great taste. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Is that something
Well,
you've cultivated over time?
Let him tell you as
Okay.
through experience of seeing me on set. I mean, I think that'd be hilarious to hear.
Yeah, well, Dallas just insists on greatness at every point, right? So if there's any level of, well, maybe we just won't do it that, we won't push ourselves that much further. He's like, no, you have to, right? I'm trying to think of a good example on the most recent one or on anything. It's like, no, well, I'll give you an example. So on Frontier Crucible, we couldn't get the wagon down to the water because it was just geographically impossible. It was physically impossible, and that's what was in the script, right? So I told Dallas, at this location, you can't even get a quad down to the water. You have to bring in all the equipment, right? But Dallas is going to sit there and go, can we helicopter the wagon in? Can we bring it in on a boat? Can we take it apart and then put it back together and then take it apart again, right? But basically, you must exhaust every single possibility to do the thing that it says in the script, the great thing, right? And maybe only at that point can you change it. And it's just
if you change it, you have to have a better idea.
Yeah. So it was all cheated that the wagon was actually on the other side of the rocks in the movie. If anyone watches the film,
I think that people understanding my unwillingness to compromise is key to being able to work with me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think Zahler would agree with that fact, and he's less compromising than I am. And so
respect.
Yeah, it is, and it's great. I mean, it's why he hasn't made a movie in so many years. And so look, I mean, I think that we might be managing the decline of cinema. We might be. I'm not sure. I'm not willing to call it terminal yet, but we might be. And if we are, then every time we get to make another movie, it could be our last. It could. Again, I'm not saying it is, and it's not, and every time it's not. And we'll get through.
But treat it as it is.
Are we going to get to make the next one? I don't know. Seems like we are. That's because we're good at this. And we always return the money, and we always make something good. And you know what I mean? Like we are great at this. But we do treat it as the last, as it could be the last time. And so that's why every time people say, like, what's your sort of most emotional moment on set? It's the first day when the first scene is rolling. When the cameras roll for the first time, dude, I have to like kind of walk away and like I get a little verklempt, right? I mean, I'm a little sad. Not sad, but like I'm a little emotional because holy crap, we did it again. We did it again.
And it's going to outlive us, too.
And it's going to outlive us.
Well, it takes so long to get any creative project off the ground from the first initial idea through whatever its releases. Sometimes it's a years-long process to even get it to that point. And I think whenever I finally put something out, like typically it took me like 6 months to do one of those Halloween specials I was mentioning.
Right.
After I'm done with it, I'm just like, well, I have like this postpartum depression of like, what do I do?
Right.
I've just spent the past 6 months spending all of my time and effort on this one thing. But it's good to unplug after a long project.
Because I'm not a right-brained artist, I don't have that. No, it's amazing.
So you're ready to go on to the next thing.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. In fact, like sometimes I think I probably should spend a little more time caring about the thing that we still have to get out there because, look, distribution is so screwed right now. It's so messed up. It's so twisted. You have A24 and Neon for independent movies, and then nothing else matters. Maybe Focus, but they're really a studio, right? That's Universal, right? I don't know, man. It's really tricky. I mean, I'm very blessed to be with Daily Wire right now. They provide a lot of financial support for my family. It's been a great run. But I also think not having me in the marketplace right now has hurt the independent movie world, especially for, if you look at the movies that Neon and A24, especially Neon, have sort of focused implicitly on, they're very international. They're not American. They are very sort of wimpy or kind of lefty this or a little that. They sort of abhor the modern traditional hero and things like that.
And you do like machismo cinema.
Yeah. So we probably should have been in the marketplace with an answer to A24 and Neon, right? Although I like Marty Supreme and I'm growing fond for Chalamet. He has been the focus of my frustration with the business because he was leaning into that beta male, wimpy guy thing so much that I was just so sick of it. And he's turning a corner and he's maturing. But he was really representative of that sort of weenie movie that was coming out for so long during the era of woke. And so I wonder about that often. I wonder if I was out in the marketplace with a sort of a, double-barrel middle finger version of A24, what it would look like.
Well, the culture's changed. I mean, since the last time that we've talked on mic, the culture has changed drastically from what it was.
Oh, yeah.
When you first released those Daily Wire movies.
Of course.
Because it was such a hot button thing. Like Gina Carano, people were wanting her head.
Oh, man, I got death threats.
Insane.
Yeah, it was gnarly.
Yeah.
I got death threats for that. I got death threats for casting, Mel Gibson. I got death threats for making What Is a Woman with Matt Walsh. I get them all the time. It's crazy.
It's funny to me how people have amnesia from that time period now.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody forgets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because it was even in my own way here in Nashville, being a musician,
yeah,
there were hard lines drawn at the time. And I wouldn't even say I'm a straight up conservative. I'm just not woke.
Sure. Correct.
Not woke.
Yeah, that's all we need. That's all we need is just don't be woke. That's it.
And at the time, there was people that were posting who had, positions of power in town being like, we're not going to let you ever play the room again if you don't get vaccinated, if you don't do this, if you don't do that. And now it's like that was never even said.
Yeah.
Like they were borderline straight up people were calling for concentration camps for the unvaccinated.
Yes, that's right.
And funny enough, that's all been forgotten. And funny enough, they don't consider that what they said to be concentration camps.
Correct.
Re-education camps. That's what they straight up were calling for.
Yeah, they lost their minds. Yeah, they lost their minds. And look, part of it is weakness, and part of it is just social contagion. I will say that I'll welcome back anyone into the fold who wants to call and apologize or anything like that. But honestly, we have got a great team, and we're marching forward. Dude, the people on our sets are so happy. We made, whether it was Frontier Crucible, which was very low budget in the middle of nowhere, non-union in Arizona, or whether it was the last movie we made, which we haven't announced yet, which was in Los Angeles, full union crew. Everyone was a professional, sort of old school Hollywood crew member. None of them like woke. None of them.
That's interesting. So it's a lot of
I think we attract a kind of crew member and even actor. I mean, look at the actors that have been in my movies.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Even Aaron Eckhart in the Muzzle movies. I mean, Aaron Eckhart, come on, that guy's not woke, So I just think that if you put out kind of a lighthouse, people will flock to you.
Totally.
You just put out a homing beacon and they'll come and find you. I mean, our hair and makeup department head is Jeff Dawn, who won the Oscar for Terminator 2.
That's badass.
What's he's done 3 movies with us now?
Yeah.
And a TV series in Europe.
Yeah. He saw the news about Gina Carano, thought it was really cool that we were making a movie with her, and sent me his resume on email. Hi, Dallas. I love Ben Shapiro, and I really appreciate what you're doing with Gina Carano. Here's my resume. Terminator 2, best Best hair and makeup.
Well, it was kind of, I feel like the woke era in Hollywood was almost like the communist scare
Sure.
and McCarthyism. It was the new version of that in a lot of ways. What was Hollywood like, and what was the movie making business like when you were coming up? Was there any talk of politics at all?
No. So here's what happened. I moved to Los Angeles in the 90s. It was wonderful. You know, the studios were healthy. We were coming out of the great Miramax era of the 90s with Tarantino and everything. It was just really healthy business. In the 2000s, the corporate infrastructure started to take shape. And so my sort of cowboy renegade attitude started to get a lot of side eye as I was a young man coming up in the business. And I thought to myself, oh, fuck, like, I'm so inspired by Simpson and Bruckheimer and Robert Evans, and like I miss the party, you know. But I was always the same way. I've been the same way since I was a kid, and so I never changed. And as the industry grew, it went a little bit to the left, and then 2008 and the crash happened, and the industry went further to the left, and Barack Obama came in. And you got to listen and do your research on Barack Obama, the relationship he had with Saturday Night Live, and all the sort of edicts that came down from Lorne Michaels about not making fun of him and stuff like that. It was really a goofy time. And then when Obama ran for re-election, I never voted for the guy. I was sort of like, okay, hope and change, whatever. Red states, blue states, great. You know, United States. I'm open to this. I never voted for him, but like I was open to it. And then it was just like he claimed racism at the midterms in 2010, and then he, binders full of women with Mitt Romney in 2012, and then Trayvon Martin is my son, and Benghazi, and Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot in Ferguson, Missouri in 2014, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, everyone's gone crazy, and all of my guy friends who were super hardcore badass were all of a sudden acting like a bunch of pussies. And they were like, I don't want to sleep on the couch at night with my new wife because she's a lefty, And everyone started wimpifying. And it was like body snatchers. And I felt like I was just Donald Sutherland running around being like, what the fuck is going on? And so I was like, yo, I didn't know the word was woke. I didn't know that was the word.
Well, it wasn't a pejorative at first.
Of course. Of course.
It was a word that people used to describe themselves as, because it's like I was in high school and I grew up in Maine, which is a very, very liberal place.
Sure.
And I remember even back then starting to notice, because it was my sophomore year or maybe junior year when Obama got elected. And, I was a kid. I considered myself a liberal back then.
Yeah.
And as time grew on, I remember that second term is where I'm like, oh, I don't think there's I just felt like getting pushed out, you know, like
that's
as
right.
a straight white man.
Yeah.
And I don't really care the way someone lives at all. It does not matter to me to the slightest, especially being an artistic person, being surrounded by all sorts of personality types.
Yep.
But it was like I started to definitely notice, and then I moved here in 2015.
Yeah.
Which is the year before Trump got elected.
Right.
And the Antichrist came into power. And it's been really interesting to kind of watch what gets made and what gets praised as far as what's good.
Sure.
Because I feel like a movie like Dragged, should be on the top of everybody. What year did that come out?
2018, 2019.
So that was like right in the dead heat pre-COVID of the world is ending.
The response to Dragged is the great sadness of my career. Not in terms of the response. The critics, I don't give a shit what Daily Beast writes if it's a racist, vile, right-wing fantasy. I don't care about that. But what I do care about is that the distributor, Lionsgate, got scared, and so they flinched. Now, there was some infighting with Craig Zahler that he wouldn't cut the script and that he wouldn't cut the edit down, he wouldn't cut the Jennifer Carpenter scene out, and things like that. which I backed him implicitly on. But that movie's a masterpiece, and it should be treated as such. But he just came out in the wrong time period. So look, there's a chance he's Van Gogh. I mean, he may just he may find his audience one day as the great filmmaker. The other thing is, like, the world cracked in COVID. It cracked. Everyone cracked.
Everybody lost their minds.
Everyone lost their minds. So it's just like the whole thing is so complicated and funny to me and tricky, interesting. What I know is that I'm very happy, and I'm very we're getting to make movies. We're able to do it our own way, outside the system. You know, we were pushed out of the mainstream for various reasons, or we couldn't exist in the mainstream for various reasons. And we were able to find a way to make it work and make a career out of it. And we're thriving. We're so busy our eyes are bleeding right now. You know? I mean, it's like, it's insane. So for all the haters, for all the people who tried to stop us, for all the people who pushed, you know, these stupid racial quotas and all of this sort of, how many women have you hired as directors this year, and all that nonsense. And then you talk about, like, you know, just literally the COVID mandates and things like that. I reject all of that. And by the way, it's like you like you said, I don't care how anybody else lives. But when they tell me, oh, I have to cast a black guy in this medieval, you know, King Arthur series, I'm out. I will not do it. I won't participate in the charade. And in fact, I'll make a mockery out of it. So I've been able to build a sandcastle for people who want to make movies that are unabashedly, you know, authentic and masculine, or whatever it is, you know, traditional, whatever it is. And look, I mean, even with Pendragon and Frontier Crucible, I mean, you know, to get to work with Travis and just see him just freaking knock it out of the park twice is just awesome. And so, you know, we just keep the ball rolling.
What do you guys think about the Warner Brothers sale?
Oh,
He's got lots of thoughts on it.
you go first.
No. I don't know. You just got to follow his Instagram stories to see all of his thoughts on it. He's posting every day.
Yeah, so I went on Ben Shapiro's show in January of 2021. And I said movie theaters are dead. And the funny thing about what I say is it always comes true in 5 years. Okay? So if you want to know what's going to happen in 5 years, come to my house and spend an evening listening to all the shit I'm teaching my kids and telling my wife, my poor wife. And so, like, I could tell you to buy crypto and it's going to go up in 5 years. You know, I see these macro tidal waves. I felt woke before it arrived and had a name. And I got my family out of LA in 2014. How crazy is that, right?
Yeah.
It's just because I felt it, right? Movie theaters are dead. They're dead. It sucks. I am the biggest fan of movie theaters in the world. IMAX accounts for 1% of the screens in the world. Okay? It's you're going to have IMAXs left over, and you're going to have some movie theaters, you know, one in Nashville and one in Dallas and one in this, that are the sort of main events. They're going to start to look more like Cosmo or whatever, the Sphere in Vegas. You're going to start to see lots of that. The screens are going to get bigger. It's going to be much more expensive. It's going to become a premium experience, okay? The average American is not going to go to the movie theater anymore because they won't be able to afford it, okay? They're going to watch at home on Netflix. Netflix is going to it's going to consume the entire movie economy. And the problem is they don't make good movies. Now, they just are buying Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers just stole all the smart people out of Neon. And so there's a bunch of things happening right now, which are fascinating. But you're going to see a real problem. Now, what I would say is for anyone who's outside the system, whether you're my age and the system wasn't fair to you, or you couldn't work in the system, or whether you're a young person who's literally 15 years old, my advice is to not deny the evolution of AI, because it is coming. and it can be used to help you forward your art and your cinema without destroying the human component of it. And so we can talk about that, till we're blue in the face. But as it relates to Netflix buying Warner Brothers, it's going to destroy the theatrical experience. It's going to destroy the theatrical window. Everything is going to go premium screens, IMAX and above. IMAX you'll go to an IMAX theater in 5 years, and it'll be the tiny screen around the corner in the fifth hallway of the AMC 22. This is where we're going, and so your movies aren't going to play. Now the problem is that nothing is bought or sold on iTunes or Amazon anymore. It's basically theaters and then streaming.
Yeah.
And everything in between is wiped out.
Well, there was a time period, maybe like 3 or 4 years, where buying it was the main thing still, as it was transitioning from being digital.
Totally.
Because it was like really everything kind of changed. Couple different things. I think music was the first signal of that.
Of course.
Because you had like LimeWire and Napster, but then Steve Jobs comes along. Here's iTunes. That changed the game. Then you have the iPhone come out. That changes the game. Because I think it's really beautiful in a lot of ways that we're able to reach into our pocket and we have the history of recorded music and not just recorded music. Like any movie you want to watch, you can watch. Anything you want, you can find.
Well, I'll push back on that a little bit. I think it is great from a technological perspective. But the problem is that when you destroy all curation, because there's no curation anymore. There's none. It's gone. All of it is, there's no gatekeepers. It's just floods of content, right? So people say, well, AI slop. AI slop is only going to be magnifying the current amount of slop, right? Here's the thing. It's like when you got in your mom's car to go to middle school or elementary school, she turned on the radio, and those 5 or 6 geniuses in your town who loved music would curate a couple of songs for you, and they loved sharing a deep cut of the Rolling Stones that they would mix in with the main hits and stuff like that. So you'd be exposed to old favorites and the new stuff, or the old stuff that you didn't know about and new stuff, right? Okay, same with movies. You'd walk into Blockbuster for the brand new release that you were dying to see. Jurassic Park's coming out. You hope they didn't have it all rented out, and it's coming, and you're going to get it.
You got to get there early enough.
You got to get
Friday.
there. Yeah. But you're also going to come away with 2 more movies.
Totally.
Something that you loved from the past, right? You just absolutely love Revenge of the Nerds, and you haven't seen it in years, and you're going to grab it, right? And then you're going to say, oh, man, I love that actor, that specific actor. What movie is this? I've never heard of this movie. And you're looking at it, and you're like, and then you end up renting something you were never exposed to. And that's the brilliance of Blockbuster, is that you were doing inventory on thousands of movies every time you thought about movies. Now you get a text from your friend, hey, have you seen this movie? You say no. You go to Netflix where it's streaming. You don't even bother looking at the 12,000 other things around there. You go, you watch it, you finish, you turn it off. It's not the same. And so we are not exposed to the dozens of other options and the curation and everything like that. It's all gone.
Well, it's interesting you say that. Like, have you ever done, you grew up in Dallas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where Blockbuster started at, correct?
Correct.
I did a little bit of like background on Blockbuster before. And basically it existed because the guy, David Cook, he created a software that allowed him to know what movies to choose.
Oh, right.
And in my hometown in Brunswick, Maine, there was this place, this record store called Bull Moose that created that kind of software in the 90s, but for music.
Yeah.
And Bull Moose was such a fundamental part of my musical upbringing
Of course.
because I'd go in,
Yeah.
and it was an indie record shop.
Yeah.
There's a chain all
Yeah.
over northern New England, but you'd go in, and you'd go in for, I don't know, a Green Day CD, and then right next to it, it'd be like Blink-182,
Correct.
Pearl Jam, whatever. And you might get 3 or 4 things, and you like 2 of them, but that was a way to find stuff.
Yep.
And they had like staff picks on the end caps.
Of course.
And it was like, this dude likes punk rock, and this chick likes weird artsy stuff like Susie and the Banshees.
Yeah.
And that's how you were able to find
Well,
stuff.
and you had a Case Logic with all of your CDs in there. It was you curated your own collection.
Yep.
When your friends got in the car, you wanted to look cool in front of them by having the right CDs. It's the same thing with my Blu-ray collection. It's like I feel like I'm saving the final copy of every movie.
Have you been to McKay's yet?
I have. Yeah. It's
Okay.
great. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Awesome
cut you
stuff.
off.
No, but it's just like that. There's no way to solve it, right? I feel very much like decline of the Roman Empire right now. I really do feel it, but Travis and I joke. We joke about the scene in Heat when the 2 guys are across the table from each other, and says, "I don't know how to do much else. Neither do I. I don't want to do much else. Neither do I.
I think there's still a lot of hope, because the reason that I think that is because there is a natural hunger for people to find things that have meaning or that are good. And of course, with the internet, you're streaming something, and it might recommend something to you, but that's a robot recommending it.
Right.
It's different. Doesn't always know. It's different. Like, the way that I found out about the Zahler movies was because of Zach.
Yeah,
where he was like,
course.
dude, you have, and he told me about him a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like, he was still living in Maine. I think I was in Nashville. But he asked me, did you ever see Brawl in Cell Block 99?
But AMC's stock price is at $1 now, and they are hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in debt, maybe billions. They can't sustain, and Cinemark had very good financials because they were very conservative, but Regal's also deeply in debt, and so it's there isn't enough content. It's the flywheel of doom, right? There's not enough movies. There's not enough good movies. There's not enough good theaters. It managed to the decline. Now, I would love to be wrong, but I'm not. And I think that what we have to do is we just have to find ways to curate audiences better and build trust with their movies. We have to learn how to self-distribute. We have to get our own audiences to come and support our movies and things like that. And that's a whole. It's not enough for an actor just to go out and do a couple of interviews. They have to go full-blown Marty Supreme, Timothée Chalamet. That's the only way anyone knows about that movie right now, was the crazy blimp and all of his hilarious videos and stuff like that. That's it. And by the way, those videos turned off some of the viewers of the movie, but it turned on a lot more than it turned off.
Because it got eyeballs.
It got eyeballs. And then he's going to win Best Actor, and then, from there the movie will be just fine.
So you think in the next 5 years, theaters are going to greatly be reduced?
Well, it'll just look so different, right? The problem is if a shopping center or a mall loses the theater, it's called an anchor tenant. And so then if that goes down, all the rest of the tenants, they have a right to leave their lease and go to a different place. So overnight, if a movie theater goes down, an entire shopping center can just go away overnight into a dustbin. And so it's just, again, it's all these sort of things that layer onto each other. Now, I thought that David Ellison coming in would be a real boost for the business
With the
with
Paramount?
Yeah. Now, I think he squandered a lot of goodwill by immediately going after Warner Brothers. It was confusing. He didn't have the right timing and things like that.
Well, for people listening who don't know, can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so David Ellison, who's the son of Larry Ellison, who runs Oracle, one of the biggest tech companies in the world and one of the richest men in the world, his son David has been a movie producer of Top Gun 2 and all kinds of great stuff. He bought Paramount for about $9 billion. It's a complicated deal. It's not that Paramount was only worth $9 billion. It was a merger, and it's very complicated.
And it was very controversial,
Very
too.
controversial at the time and things like that. Because David Ellison is not a lefty radical psychopath, he has been slightly rejected by the press, not the Hollywood executives and not the agents and managers and directors. They care less. But the press has turned on him because he installed Barry Weiss at the head of CBS News. He installed, and he went after Warner Brothers. And if he buys Warner Brothers, he owns CNN and HBO. And the left doesn't want that to happen. And so they're attacking him in the press, and they decided, it's fun when you get the left to root for someone they hate. He's so despised that the left started to root for Netflix to buy Warner's. The thing that will destroy the business is, so now you're going to get 12,000 Harry Potter series. I don't know, man. The whole thing is a mess. And the theatrical window is going to get destroyed and stuff like that. So everyone's going to get what they deserve out of this.
Well, we're just further and further going down the road of the big releases that happen are going to be like Avengers Doomsday.
Correct.
And that's going to be the thing that people go to the theaters for. Maybe
right.
the one time they go that year.
That's right. So this is a sad statistic. The average moviegoer, someone who describes themselves as a moviegoer, not the average person. Travis, are you a moviegoer? Yes. How many times does the average moviegoer go see a movie in theaters per year? Do you know? Take a guess.
I'm going to say 3 or 4 times. Two. Yeah.
I saw in theaters this year, 35 movies, something like that. Now, I'm a madman, but...
That's a couple times a month.
Yeah, a couple times a month. The average Netflix user, not account with multiple, but the average, login, 85 movies a year they watch on Netflix. Ted Sarandos is right. The audience has spoken. They don't want to go to movie theaters anymore. You could say, well, the movie theaters are nasty or whatever. That's not it. It's the
comfort of being in your own home. And like, I get it both ways. Like, The Bone Temple is coming out in a few weeks, which I'm very excited for. I will go opening night to go see that in the theater.
Fair.
But it's like, it's a bigger swing now to go see a movie in the theater because it's more expensive now. Yeah. Especially if you're not just a single person.
Right.
If you're trying to go out on a date, you got kids.
Right.
You might have to get a babysitter.
For sure.
Because, like, what's doing well in theaters? Like, kids' movies are still doing well in theaters.
Of course, they're crushing.
Yep. And then horror movies.
Yeah. Well, wages have been stagnant for decades, and asset prices are inflated through the roof. I mean, this is not supposed to be the way it was, but the people who should have stopped it were the same people who are now cheering on David Ellison's demise, and who are cheering on the rise of COVID vaccines and, all the sort of, segregation of the vaccinated and the unvaccinated and all that nonsense. And yes, of course they forgot now. Yeah. But they were the people. And so it's just, the problem is that everyone's too stupid, society collectively, to ever realize when they are literally digging their own graves. And it's too bad. I mean, I'm shouting from the rooftops, but it's hard because no one wants to listen.
Yeah, and you get called names when you do that.
I get called names
or
all the
death
time.
threats.
I get death threats and called names all the time. But I'm not going to change, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep making badass movies, and I'm going to keep getting stuff going. But like, I'll never change. I'm the same person I was when I was a kid. So that's what makes me frustrating for them, but also very exciting for the people who love me and love my movies.
What powers that true north for you? That inner Jiminy Cricket voice.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It's movies in some ways were my third parent, right? I had great parents. My mom and dad were awesome. No complaints about my childhood. It was the greatest. But I also went and saw so many movies as a kid that I learned, a lot of stuff from movies. And how could I ever repay that, right? I mean, it's just been a blast. And so I love watching movies more than anything other than being with my family. That's it, right? And so I'll do whatever it takes to protect the thing I love.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the perfect spot to to end it at. Any final thoughts?
Well, I think Travis has had a lot of experience with Tubi, and I think that I'd like to hear his thoughts on that because his movies are doing very well on Tubi.
Yeah, well, it's funny you talk about the Blockbuster thing, but I treat Tubi like Blockbuster.
Yeah.
So it's how you use it, right? Because I'm not going on there and just finding the one thing. I'm looking up, and clicking the different directors and searching the subgenres and all that stuff. And it's fun. The other night I watched some Eric Roberts, Lance Henriksen movie for the Hitchhiker movie from the 90s. And I'm like,
interesting.
this is great. Like, I've never even heard of this. And I'm like, this is so great. Yeah. Let's remake it, so, my no-budget movies, I got them on Tubi, and they've made a decent amount of money. And that right now, for little indie filmmakers, that is the streaming service.
Yeah.
Where you can get your films on there, and that ad revenue will actually make money for your investors, and then you just turn that into more movies, and Dallas hates this, that I'm not the Nostradamus like he is. My head's down. I'm making films. I'm just going to make them till I die.
Well, that's right. I mean, we do very different roles on set. He is locked into the physical set. The director doesn't go 2 feet from him. I'm in the office making 1,000 phone calls. I come down, I bark a bunch of orders, and then I run out in the parking lot
making deals.
Yeah, and then I run out to the parking lot to call the CEO of Daily Wire. I mean, I mean, it's like we're doing all kinds of different other things, and I'm hanging out with the actors and making sure that they're taken care of and feeling good about things, and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it really requires a team. We have an amazing team of casting directors and line producers and other co-producers and editors and things like that. We have built a little world, and it's great. And people need to come and find a way to be a part of this. Everyone wants to be a producer or a writer director. What I need someone to come pick up the trash on set, and then show me that I can trust you. Yeah. And you know what I mean? And so that's what I would encourage.
And I've been through that journey because when I first made a movie with him, it was the Gina Carano Western, and he said, "Okay, you made a bunch of Westerns, come be the Western guy." So they put me in charge of wagons, horses, and guns.
Costumes.
And then as I started to go through the process, I'm like, well, I'll take that too. Yeah. And I'll take that responsibility. By the end of the film, producing, shooting camera, doing stunts. And then the next time it's like, well, of course we got to have Travis produce. He produces. And it just keeps building and building. So,
there's something to be said, I think, like for starting at the bottom in the environment that you want to be in.
Yeah.
And of course we're in Nashville, so it's way easier said than done. But like living in Maine, I got stupidly lucky. I moved into next door to a music producer when I was 15 who had a recording studio.
That's amazing.
And a live venue. So it was like I was the guy who was running to get coffees and making sure the artists had everything they needed. And that was really my first experience kind of in anything entertainment.
Yeah.
I am curious to see if kids today are still motivated to do stuff like that.
So I'll tell you, I have my kids are 15, 14, and 11, and they love movies. There is a generational thing happening with the young kids where they think, YouTube is fast and movies are premium, right? They do identify that and appreciate that, and I'm happy about that. They love going and seeing movies in theaters, but they are much rather just watch a movie at home. Okay. And they don't like watching movies on their phones. They like the big screen at our house. And so there's a little bit of a renaissance happening a little bit. I'm not sure it's enough to sustain the crap that's been shoved down our throats for 10 years, but it is a nice vibe. And every data point points to young boys being, right of Attila the Hun. But so sorry, lefties, you've got a whole generational group of boys coming your way that's not going to listen to your shit. But what I'll say is that as it comes to movies, I think that they do like them. And I think that if we, as the collective industry, would stop making a bunch of stuff that says boys need to be more feminine and boys need to be quiet, and if we stopped trying to force them into chairs in sort of dumb public school settings, I think we would have a lot better, a healthier movie industry. So I took my boys to the opening night of Minecraft, and it was like I was in like the circus. They were throwing shit everywhere. They were singing all the songs.
I saw
You
videos.
saw the videos.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
I was in the room. And it was great. That's what we need. We need that kind of attitude and that kind of enthusiasm. And that's why, as much as I think Chalamet represented the beta terribleness of the woke era, and Travis has a whole diatribe about him denying Woody Allen. Timothy Chalamet denying Woody Allen, which he shouldn't have done. But now that he's showing some signs of maturity, and it's hilarious that Kylie Jenner apparently is the person taking him into maturity, which is hilarious. But he knows movies are. He watched Tom Cruise. Glenn Powell does the same thing. They watch Tom Cruise.
Glenn Powell's smart.
Good for them. Keep going, right? Keep trying to save this thing. Don't stop. And so I give him a lot of credit for that.
Well, the temperature, it's definitely changed. And it changed when Trump won again a second time.
Yeah.
And it was like the thing that really stuck out to me was Jack White a couple of weeks ago. There was like all these rumors that he had said he didn't want any Trump supporters at his concert.
Right.
And he made a post saying, hey, I never said that.
Yeah.
When 4 years ago, that post would not have been made.
Of course.
Right.
He held the door open for me at a restaurant two weeks ago. He's a very, very nice man.
If he only knew.
Crazy lefty, but no, but I agree. Listen, everyone wants a big tent. Nobody wants a monoculture. Nobody wants right-wing conservative movies, okay? We don't want this. We're making it out of necessity to balance the culture in this moment. And so that's all it is. And when you say right-wing movies, it's just a straight man with a gun. I mean, that's how far left we got.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, the center didn't really change.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
The left just went further left.
That's right. So that's all we're doing. We're just making movies that they used to make. And we get in trouble for that. And that's great. That's fine with me. I'm happy to do it. I won't stop.
Well, where can people find you guys at? How can they find you online?
Travis Mills, filmmaker, on Instagram.
And we are only on Instagram, Bonfire Legend. It's a blast. We post a lot of crazy shit on our stories every day. And
I love your stories.
Yeah. it's very fiery.
Watch Frontier Crucible.
Yes.
On
Yes.
Amazon and iTunes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Strongly
Apple
recommend
TV.
it.
Yeah.
Travis crushed it on Frontier Crucible. It's such a special movie. You really got to understand, like, we went and made an old school Western, right?
100%.
It's a little bit of the acid Westerns of the 70s with Jeremiah Johnson and,
Pat Garrett, Billy the Kid.
McCabe and Pat Garrett. It's a little bit 50s and John Ford-ish, right? But it's just so classic. Even Bud Bedecker, kind of that low-budget mentality. And everyone just chill the fuck out, sit down, watch the movie.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Taking the experience.
Yeah. It's going to move a little slower than you're used to. Your fucking ADD brain. Chill
TikTok
out.
brain.
Yeah. TikTok brain. No, but it's great. I think it's one of the best movies we've ever made. I love it. Travis crushed it. And everyone should go check it out. And then January 22nd on Daily Wire Plus.
This will get posted on
Pendragon
January
Cycle.
21st. So
Great.
the day
Awesome.
before.
So the Pendragon Cycle's coming out. It is a beast. It's awesome. And yeah, man, it's just really great. So we're rocking and rolling, and We've got the John Rambo prequel going into production in Thailand in a couple of weeks with the Sisu director, Jamari Hollander, directing. We've got a lot more going on. Like I said, we just shot a secret movie in L.A., and then we're going into pre-production on another one in the East Coast, and we're cruising, dude. We're cruising.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming
Yeah,
on.
thanks for
you,
having
Taylor.
us.
Keep on dreaming. See you next week.